The more you drag this out, the more I'm gonna make you bleed, bitch. I'm just like, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, King Nikki TV, where I give you commentary on popular movies and TV shows. In this video, I will be reviewing the new horror thriller, Hunt Her, Kill Her, a movie about a janitor working alone, working the night shift at a factory when she ends up having to fight for her life when masked intruders break into the factory. Now, the movie opens with our main protagonist, Karen, who is the janitor of this factory, and it is actually her first day at work, and she has a sick child at home who is being babysat by the worst babysitter in the history of the universe. I mean, I would rather leave my child with, like, I don't know, a dog. This was so ridiculous. The child is sick, and the lady is calling, and she tells the person who is like showing her the ropes, and he's the day shift guy who has her same job, that even though the lady has kids, which is her neighbor, she's acting like she's never dealt with a sick child. And the lady calls her and has just the worst attitude in the world, and she's saying how her daughter woke up out of her sleep and she's crying because she doesn't know where her dad is, she doesn't know where mom is, and she's like, should I tell her what happened to her dad? And she's like, no, don't say anything. And the movie is they try to set it up where you do not know who attacks this lady and shows up, but baby, you know, it's so easy and simple. Because at first, when the guy who's showing her the ropes pretty much tells her, because she asks if she's the only person that's going to be here, the only person that works the night shift, and he does make mention of like another factory or something down the road that was broken into. So I'm like, okay, wait, another place was broken into. So is this like a little, thing that's going on? But it is very obvious that she is the person that is being targeted, not the factory, and she just so happens to be there. But when that guy leaves and she's pretty much supposed to be there by herself and she's cleaning this bathroom, she ends up coming into contact with two guys who are still there. And this kind of ain't made sense to me, because she's cleaning the bathroom and she's like in one stall and a guy comes out of the stall next to her. How are you in here cleaning, but you didn't hear the guy over there? Because he like flushes the toilet or something. And I'm just like, you didn't hear somebody in the stall literally right next to you? But anyway, the guys end up being people that know her husband, and they're just like any woman who wouldn't let the father of her child see his daughter on her birthday. She's a bitch. He freaking puts his hand all on her face, and I'm just like, excuse you, bro. But she pretty much just kind of doesn't do anything, and they end up leaving, and she locks the door or whatever. And really, this movie begs the question, can you survive on pure stupidity alone? Because I'm sorry, this has got to be the dumbest protagonist that I have seen in a movie in a really long time. And I thought we were past the super dumb like female main characters in these scenarios. This lady truly is so freaking dumb. Now, she ends up going through like cleaning, doing her job, then she has like her lunch break. And when she's sitting eating lunch, I'm like, okay, the night gotta be halfway over, because typically you have a lunch break midway through your shift. Now, this really, I know that some people aren't like very detail oriented, but this was something that was just so blatant and dumb. So she's cleaning up and there's a knock at the door, which if it's me, I'm just ignoring the knock. Like, I'm not even going to acknowledge the knock. But anyway, she goes over to the door. She talks through the door, and the person on the other side is like, he has a delivery. Okay, well, my nigga, she working the late shift. It is late at night. No, I'm not opening this door. I don't even think that people deliver this late at night, but even if I'm wrong and they do, I'm not opening the door. But she's talking through the door. He says he has a delivery, and she pretty much tells him, can you just sit it outside? And that's when he tells her he needs a signature, right? So she opens the door. he ends up saying, is Danny still here? Is Mike still here? Is Frank here? He said some names. I don't even think the names probably even work there. He just saying names, trying to figure out if she's there by herself. And she ends up telling him that, yes, she is there by herself. He gives her the package and he starts to leave and she's like, do I need to sign for this? And he's like, no, and just walks away. And she just goes on about the day. And I'm just like, wait a minute, lady. The reason you opened the door in the first place is because he said he needed a signature. So once he hands you the package and starts to leave without said signature, bing, 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 like bells and stuff should be ringing. Like, wait a minute, the whole reason I opened the door was because he said he needed a signature. And now that I've opened the door, he suddenly don't need a signature. So she gets the package, just not even thinking about the signature stuff. And she goes to close the door, and I can't remember if this is when she saw it, because she does open the door. I think it was earlier. She opened the door to take trash out. And when she goes to close the door, she sees like a truck just sitting out there. And we stare at this truck for like a really long time. And I was literally like, there's no one in the truck. There's nothing there. Why are we staying? We were staying for like a really long time. But I forgot, because I kind of can't remember if it was then or when the delivery guy came. But I want to say it was then. But it could have been when the delivery guy came out. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But she just goes about, she's cleaning and everything after she done told the guy that she ended up by herself, child. And that's when she ends up hearing noises, and she goes and she discovers that there are masked intruders that have gotten in. How they got in, I have no idea. They don't tell us. Now, at first, initially, I see 3 guys, and she goes to run. And y'all, the stupidity is not just her. The villains are really stupid as well. Now, we have 3 people chasing after her. Well, 4, sorry, because initially I thought it was 3 people. It was 4 people. We end up seeing that it was 4 people. Now, they are chasing her. Now, normally you would say, hey, you go that way, you know, to like cut off and all kind of. No, we're all just running in a straight line right behind her. All of us. No one thinks to go another way or anything like that. And the villain people were irking me so bad because they had on these masks, right? And the sound effects and like all that stuff that was happening when it came to the villains, y'all, it was so annoying. And the masks kind of were ridiculous because they were these big bulky masks where they didn't even have peripherals. Like they couldn't even hardly really see right. Like you're trying to chase someone, but it was very unrealistic how all of this was playing out because she's in this factory. They're trying to find her and kill her. And y'all, it was like the worst. Silly, unnatural dialogue that they will be saying to the lady. So they're saying stuff to her like, the more you drag this out, the more I'm going to make you bleed, bitch. And I'm just like, it was just so utterly ridiculous. And they were like breathing like animals behind their mask. That was irking me. But y'all, this girl, Karen, is running through here trying to hide and making so much freaking noise. It was insane. Breathing loud, just noise in general that she's making with all the stuff around her and trying to hide and stuff. And then you're supposed to be being quiet and hiding, and she would say stuff out loud. She was like, think. Why are you yelling to yourself? Think when you're trying to hide and be quiet. You can think in your head. It just was so stupid and unnatural that the villains and stuff in there didn't hear her making all of this freaking noise. And then as she's hiding, there's a moment where she's like hanging from something, and one of the people step on her hand and have no clue that they're stepping on something, because when you step, the ground would like be a certain way, and then if you're stepping on something, it doesn't feel even what you're like you should know you're freaking stepping on something. But no, he has no clue that he is stepping on anything. Now they end up, she tries to get out, but the doors are chained, so they chain all the doors up. And it is really easy to figure out that these people are here specifically for her. Now, she ends up killing the first guy out of sheer freaking luck, right? Now, she goes to try to squeeze through this door that's chained. She opens it a little bit. She's trying to squeeze out. She goes and like gets this oil or something that she slides on herself, and she's trying to squeeze through the door. And the guy, one of the masked guys, ends up coming up, grabbing her. Some other stupid dialogue, gotcha now, bitch, come here. Like, it was just terrible. And he starts to like tie up her legs or whatever. And she ends up being able to get away. She kicks him. She's running. But she is running with the stupid thing still tied to her leg. And it's like super long trailing behind her. And I'm just like, girl, untie this stupid thing. He can easily grab it, pull you. And of course, that is exactly what he does. He grabs it, he's pulling her towards him, and she's laying there as he's pulling her, trying to like untie it. And I thought this was kind of stupid on his part. He's still just grabbing it and pulling her as she's trying to untie it. But you're literally just standing here. She's right here. Just go run at her, but whatever. He's pulling it as she's trying to untie it. She ends up untying it. And of course, as you're pulling and someone, lets it go, he falls backwards and he ends up falling down and off of this tall like thing that they were on, and he dies. So she ends up killing the first guy out of pure freaking luck. And she gets his knife. And she ends up being seen by some other person. So she's hiding and they're trying to get her. And she has the knife in her back pocket. And I'm just like, girl, if you don't have the knife in your hand, so you just ready. But of course, she ends up trying to get away when they're looking for her. And she's making so much freaking noise. Like, it was irking me so bad. All the noise she was making when they were trying to find her and they just didn't know where she was. Now, she ends up trying to jump off of this thing, but she gets like stuck and she takes the knife to like cut herself free. One of the people ends up seeing her and they're coming after her, and she drops down and the knife falls and slides up under something. And yeah, there goes the knife. Now, the other guy that she ends up being able to kill out of sheer luck, again, she is in this bathroom and the guy is trying to push the door open, which this didn't make sense. Anytime they would find her, or see her, they would be like, she's over here. So you mean to tell me he's trying to push the bathroom door open to get to her, but doesn't yell to the other people that like, hey, she's here, I got her. So he's trying to push the door open. She's trying to keep him from being able to come in. She has this was it a broomstick or a plunger? I want to say it was a broomstick. She's trying to fight him off with through the door, and it breaks off. He's able to push the door open and he kind of runs into her, and it was a plunger. She stabs him in the chest and he goes down. This fight in the bathroom was so freaking loud. She is hitting the top of the plunger, the actual plunging part, trying to stab the broken wood in deeper and deeper in him so he can die. And as he's laying there, his foot keeps kicking this metal thing. It's making all this noise. But somehow, in the quiet warehouse where no other noise is, they do not hear this loud fight going on in the bathroom. And his kicking of this metal thing and all the just noise that's happening in there. So she kills this second guy by sheer luck. And every time she kills someone and she just sits there for the longest time, it irks the mess out of me, because all that noise, I would be ready to get out of Dodge City from this area. So the first guy she kills, she goes to look through his pockets. She tries to see who he is. He's just a delivery person, and I don't know why they were trying to keep it secret who it was, after her. We knew. So the first person that's killed that they revealed, they just, we see it was just a delivery person. And she goes through his pockets. His phone was broke. Now the second person, she goes through his pocket and she gets his knife. So again, baby got a knife. Now she was already cut on her leg earlier, and now with the bathroom fight, she gets sliced in her stomach. Much worse than the first cut, which was already a bad cut, because there's a moment when she's bleeding from the cut on her leg and they notice where she is because the blood is dropping on this container and making all this noise, which I don't understand how they could hear her blood dripping on the container, but she ain't hear it, but whatever the hell, child. So she's cut again in her midsection, much worse. And she goes to another area because it's like a warehouse area. It's like an area with offices. And she's in the break room trying to look for something to like help with her wound. And she is again making a ton of mother freaking noise. She's like slamming cabinets, throwing stuff on the ground. She is making so much noise. It was pissing me off. So she put super glue in her wound. And something she was doing that was so stupid. She kept like opening her wounds when she would look at them. She did it to the one on her leg. She did it to one on her midsection. She would open it up and a ton of blood would gush out. Why the freak would I be like spreading my wound open? Baby, that ain't how you look at a wound. Like, girl, what are you doing? Y'all, this lady was stupid on stupid on stupid. It was pissing me off. It was on my nerves so bad. So she super glues her wound shut, and then she like wraps. What did she wrap? Oh, she took paper towels and put on top of the wound, and then she took tape and wrapped it around her midsection. And one of the masked guys is literally in the hall outside of the break room, and he's like this way, and she runs to get under a table. He should have heard the freaking noise of like the chairs and her going under the table. He ends up busting up in the break room with the other masked guys. Now, remember, it was 4 in total. And at this point, she has killed 2. So it's 2 people left. And they tell us that one is outside. And she's hiding under the break table, which it ain't no way you don't see this full-grown bodied woman under the dang table. But anyway, she leaves the freaking knife on the ground where she was over there by the cabinets patching herself up. And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? Y'all, I was so pissed off. I was so pissed off. So they end up leaving out of there because they don't see her hiding under the table. So then she ends up, by sheer luck, being able to kill another guy. Wait a minute, I feel like I'm mixing something up because she got keys from somebody. Who did she get keys from? She got keys from somebody, and she ends up being able to go outside. But once she gets outside, there's another guy there, masked guy, who she ends up fighting. Now, the first 2 guys that she killed by luck, and it made logical sense. This person that she ends up killing outside, it ain't make no sense. Now, we hear a train going by, so I guess that's supposed to, tell us why no one hears the noise of her fighting the other masked guy. And she's fighting this guy, and it really did not make logical sense. She wraps like this thing around him. Oh, I just remembered. The guy she got the keys from, the one time that she uses her brain, she gets like this wire and she sets a trap where she gets the guy attention and she gets him to follow her. And he doesn't even follow her the way she wants. She's looking for him to come. He doesn't. He goes around another way, but she is still able to run back through the trap. But this didn't make any sense. He is right behind her, and she ducks down, and he hits the wire, and it slices his throat. And I'm like, you didn't see her duck her head down? But anyway, when his throat is cut, he has keys in the building, which I felt like that didn't make any sense. How do they have keys to the building? Like, yes, Danny, her ex-husband, friends work there, but they shouldn't have key. Like, the keys got into the offices, open the door. I didn't understand how they could have keys to the building, whatever the hell. So once his throat is cut, she looks through his pocket, she gets the keys, and I didn't think it was realistic that he ain't had no cell phone. I mean, the other masked guy had a cell phone, but why you ain't got a cell phone? But whatever the hell. She ends up being able to use the keys to unlock the chain and get outside. And once she get outside, she runs into the 4th masked guy, and they end up in a fight that when she killed the first people, it was realistic. Luck. But this guy, it didn't make any sense. So they get into this fight and she like whips him around with this thing that's tied on him. But she is a small girl. The guys are huge. I don't see her having the strength to really throw this man around like a rag doll the way that she did. And she ends up choking him, which the way she choked him made some sense because she puts her like leg in his back to, you know, add force to her pulling. He's trying to get at his knife, but he can't. And she ends up killing him, and she gets the knife, and he has a cell phone, and she sees Danny name on the call ID, which Danny is her husband. I guess this is like the big reveal, but y'all, we knew. Now, another masked person comes up, because remember, we had a masked person that was outside, and this irked me. He's standing a little bit away, and she's just sitting there just staring at him. And I'm like, girl, grab the knife and phone and freaking run. No, she don't grab the knife or the phone. She just runs. And the guy ends up getting her. And of course, it's Danny. It's her ex-husband. And we pretty much get about 10 minutes of him just beating the crap out of her. I mean, like beating her down, breaking both of her hands, breaking her nose. It was like freaking terrible. And he's trying to kill her. And this don't make no sense. He's abusive. He's mad at her for like betraying him and all this crap, whatever the hell, and trying to keep his daughter from him. Why in the world did you need 4 other guys to come help you do this? And why were you the one that was outside? I would think this is something you would want to do, because the other guys was trying to kill her, so they were gonna just kill her while you was outside. And then when they make no sense, she tells him that he still won't get the little girl, and he's like, too late, I already got her. Baby, why he bring the little girl with him to kill the mama? And get mad at the little girl because apparently she was supposed to wait in the car and she don't. So he locks her up in like a little room or office or something where it's like this giant window where she can clearly see him killing her mom, which was so ridiculous. He breaks both of her hands and she ends up being able to like fight him off and stuff like that. And she's running. And what made me mad was we're in this factory and we keep alluding to all the machinery and stuff. She turns all the machines on and all this stuff. But nobody gets killed using the machinery. But she ends up having to tape this hammer on her hands, because both her hands are pretty much broken. And she tapes it on her so she can like fight with it. But the second she hits Danny with the hammer, it just gets stuck in his head. Just like, but this is what I thought was crazy. He goes to try and kill her and strangle her with the hammer still sticking out of his freaking head. Like, excuse me, sir, you look, the hammer is in your head. It ain't make no sense. So of course she, gets at the hammer and she ends up killing them and, bashing them and hitting them with the hammer. And she tells him to take his mask off, which I don't know why he still had the mask on after she knew who the heck it was. And he tries to like say sorry and plead. And I'm just like, bruh. But she ends up hitting them and going to get her daughter, and they walk outside and happy ending. She sails out into the sunset. The poor little dumb terrible babysitter neighbor got killed when he went to go get his daughter. Now I don't feel like this movie was terrible. Like, it was decent. I would give it a solid 4 out of 10. I don't think it was terrible. I liked it a lot better than, some of them. I liked it better than Ant-Man. I liked it better than that Quantumania movie. It wasn't terrible. It was decent. It was entertaining enough. If our main protagonist wasn't such a dummy. And like Danny said something to her about you're not smart, you don't use your brain, and I'm just like, I don't want to side with the abuser. Like, she ain't got no brain, Danny. But I'm just playing. But if she wasn't just so freaking dumb, plus the villains being dumb, plus, you know, like knowing who the masked people was so freaking simple to find out. But it was entertaining enough. Like, it wasn't terrible. It really wasn't. It's a decent way to kill some time, and it's actually a pretty short movie. I want to say it's about maybe like a hour and 30 minutes. It's not very long at all, so it's a good way to spend some time. I would recommend seeing it. Like, it's worth the watch. It's nothing to write home about. It's nothing to rave about, but it's better than Quantumanium. It's a decent way to kill time. Thank you so much for watching this video, for supporting the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.